Well, RGKhouri is a professor of journalism at the American University of Beirut and a senior fellow at Harvard Kennedy School. Joins us now from the Lebanese capital. Good to have you with us on Al Jazeera. What do you make of all of this, particularly that speech from President Bashar al-Assad? Does this suggest that the Syrian president feels confident the end of this war is finally in sight?
He's always been confident, and he speaks out every once in a while to celebrate a certain achievement in the military progress that his troops, with the Russian and Iranian and Hezbollah assistance, have been making consistently over the last 3 or 4 years. So there's nothing surprising about the military gains that they've achieved in the Idlib area and Aleppo. There's nothing surprising about his making a statement. The only real question here is, what is this going to mean for the Syrian-Turkish relationship, the standoff? The Turks have been massing weapons in the area they control in northern Syria. They've had 13 of their troops killed by Syrian fire in northern Syria. This is the real big question, the Turkish-Syrian link, which raises the bigger question of the Russian-Turkish-Syrian relationship. I think the other big question is, once Assad gets what he wants in the north of his country, whether the Turks remain or not, then what's he going to do about the areas on the eastern part of Syria where there are still rebel forces?
Well, let's deal with the first of your questions. Where do you think this leaves Turkey? They're certainly invested in that conflict. They're on the verge of direct conventional warfare with the Syrians. What does Turkey do now?
Well, I think they're going to try to avoid direct conventional warfare. They might have some shootouts with some artillery, but I think they're going to avoid that because their relationship with Russia is, the Turkish-Russian relationship is way more important than the Turkish-Syrian relationship. The Turks are concerned about the Kurds in their immediate neighborhood. They're not concerned about the Syrian government or army as such. And they've been in touch with Syria on and off for many years. But the Russian-Turkish relationship is hugely strategically significant in terms of exports and imports and weapons purchases, oil imports, gas transit pipelines from Russia to Europe. There's so many dimensions to the bilateral Russian-Turkish relationship that that's what they're going to pay more attention to. My guess is you'll see the Russians moving pretty quickly now to negotiate, to mediate, and they'll come up with another agreement like they did 3-4 years ago about zones of quiet and deconfliction zones, and they give them all these fancy names which really end up meaning nothing because nobody follows the agreement to cease fire, just as has been happening in Libya. Same thing. People say we're all going to stop fighting, and they all keep fighting. But there will be an agreement in northern Syria at some point soon, and my guess is the Turks probably will maintain their control of a border strip, and they will do that with the approval of the Russians and the Syrians, and that will calm things down for a while. But long term, the Syrians will have to get back full sovereign control of their territory, and they have the muscle to do it with the Russians backing them.
Well, they certainly do. This war has already played out for 9 years. Do you think we're coming close to an end game here?
No, because you have so many different tensions going on in Syria, because even after the fighting stops, which it will one day, you still have the area in the north which has pretty much Kurdish autonomy in some kind of rough agreement with the Syrian government. They're going to have to work that out. The Syrians will not accept what the Kurds have in Iraq, which is real full autonomy, almost quasi-independence. So there's going to be tensions in the north, and there's still some pockets of troops from other countries, American troops, and then you've got some ISIS troops and others. So there will continue to be tensions for some years down the road. And the Syrian government on its own is not very strong. They are strong because Hezbollah, Iran, and Russia give them immense military supports, diplomatic support, and some of them, the Iranians especially, give them financial aid and oil. So the Syrians are not quite as free to do whatever they want as you would think they are, because these other factors come into play. My guess is that Assad would be willing to go on for a few more years with these other people in control of parts of his territory, as long as he can claim that this is an agreement with him and it's done to protect Syria, to get rid of the terrorists, to fight ISIS, etc., and to beat the imperial hegemonists, as he calls them.
Okay.
So we're going to probably see that coming up soon, I would guess.
Okay, well, we'll have to wait and see. RGKhouri, for now, joining us live from Beirut. Thank you.